2 words. Utterly embarrassing. Embarrassing. Locked On UCLA Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Bruins Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm so frustrated. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. Fours up, Bruin Nation. What's going on? And welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On UCLA Postcast, coming at you live after every single UCLA game here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact wherever you get the Locked On UCLA podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gavin Carlson. I previously covered UCLA football and all other sports with the Daily Bruin as a credentialed journalist. I'm now a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. But I'm also more than a former journalist. I am a recent UCLA alum. I just graduated from this school in June. I was born and raised a UCLA fan. So I have every perspective on this team. Growing up a fan of this team, a student watching this team, a unbiased, impartial journalist covering this team, and now an alum watching this team. I went to that game today. I drove 70 minutes on the freeway in the LA traffic to watch that game. I left early to come back and do the show, and I'm not even mad that I left early because in the matter of one quarter, another 14 points was put up against UCLA. What an utterly disgraceful, embarrassing start to the Big Ten era for DeShaun Foster and UCLA. Oh man, I have a lot to talk about in this one. But before I do, shout out to everybody in here. I promise I'm not yelling at you. I'm just really frustrated. And if you're a UCLA fan watching this, you are as well. A shout out to everybody in here. I might be mad about the game, but I'm not mad about doing the show because I absolutely love the community on the postcast. I do the Angels postcast, love doing that. I do the Rams postcast. And my favorite of all, as a proud UCLA diehard fan my whole life, is the UCLA Postcast. And so please leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts on this game. I appreciate you all so much. Also, a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, where we get started today is it's going to be a little different. Normally, I try to break down the game. I tell you if it's a close game. I tell you how the game ended. What was the difference late in the fourth quarter? We saw that 2 weeks ago with Hawaii. I broke down how UCLA was able to escape with a tight 16-13 win. A horrible game for most of the game 2 weeks ago. But Ethan Garbers was able to lead enough, a game-winning drive, get field goals to win that game. Today, I'm not doing that. Today, I have to start big picture. Normally, I like to go small to big, look forward, but it's hard to do anything else right now but look forward at this schedule, at this conference, and go, oh my goodness, UCLA is screwed. I hate to say it. Once again, I was at that game. I was with my fellow UCLA former students. It was my first game as an alum, but I was in the student section with my friends watching the first half and the early third quarter of that game. So I don't love saying any of this, trust me. I covered this team when it was Chip Kelly. And as unbiased as I was, every reporter in that room will tell you it was no fun covering a Chip Kelly team because he hated the media. And whether you're an unbiased reporter or not, you were happy that it was DeShaun Foster because you knew he was going to treat the media better. So I hate saying all of the things I'm about to say. But UCLA is absolutely toast. We came into this season looking at the schedule going, oh man, we have LSU, Oregon, Penn State in a row, games 3 through 5. If we're lucky, we win one of those games. That was coming into the year when the expectations were, maybe win 5-6 games. I thought the 4.5 over-under win total was disrespectful coming into the season. I thought 5 or 6 games. Everyone was like, we'll beat Hawaii. Everyone was like, we'll beat Fresno. We'll beat Minnesota. We'll beat Rutgers. And the only other game that was like that was Indiana coming into the season. Now, we know what happened the last 2 weeks. We know Indiana was absolutely so impressive, absolutely destroyed FIU, destroyed Western Illinois, 77-3. And we know that UCLA looked pretty darn bad in that win against Hawaii in all phases except for the defense. So much so that UCLA goes from, I know a lot of people don't care about Vegas, and I agree. I mean, this was a 3.5 point spread. It was a 29-point game. I don't blame you for not caring about Vegas, but it does tell you what the thought process is of smart football people and the average consumer, football watcher coming into a game. To have UCLA go from certainly probably a favorite at home against one of the weaker teams in this new conference we're a part of to UCLA is a 3.5 point underdog. There were questions. I was critical of the spread. I thought that's an overreaction to Indiana beating a bunch of no-name teams and UCLA having a rough start to the year with a new head coach, though, with an injured offensive line, though, with a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator. But boy, was I wrong? Were a lot of UCLA fans wrong? And unfortunately, a lot of Big Ten fans that don't know what they're talking about when it comes to what UCLA football means, they get to act like they are correct today. And that's why this one hurts. That's why I'm so frustrated and I'm so nervous for the future. But above all else, I'm embarrassed. And I know if you're a UCLA fan, you are too. I was in the front row at the 50-yard line. I have to walk up the stairs, walk past Indiana fans saying, oh, you look at you leaving in the middle of the third quarter. They don't know that this is my job. They don't know that I'm leaving in the middle of the third quarter because I got to drive 45 minutes home, make sure I'm home in time to do this show. They don't know that. And of course they don't. They think I'm like the average UCLA fan in the eyes of the rest of the country. A UCLA fan who doesn't care, who goes to UCLA for academics, a UCLA fan who would rather be in Beverly Hills or in Hollywood right now than at the Rose Bowl. And I hate that perception as someone who has lived and breathed UCLA football my whole life. Since I was born, I've been wearing a UCLA shirt since I was 1 year old. And I'll tell you, I'm very critical at times of the UCLA fan base. I go, come on, I know it's LA. I know there's a lot to do. I know it's a 45-minute drive from certain parts of LA, including from campus. But come on, it's UCLA football. It's once a week. Other teams, other fan bases, even in the Pac-12, but let alone the fan bases in the Big Ten, like in Indiana, they love to ignore the fact that 10 years ago, the UCLA was a perennial top 10 team. That even last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this team was beating Utah and beating Washington and having college game day while hosting Oregon and taking that one to the wire. This is a team that had Brett Hundley and Josh Rosen. That sure, was this team ever going to win a national championship? No, but they were top 10 at times. This team beat LSU when Ed Orgeron was calling us powder blue or whatever, right? That's what the rest of the country thinks UCLA is. And so a lot of us thought, hey, maybe we are not at the level of the elite Big Ten teams. We're not a Michigan. We're not an Ohio State. We're not a Penn State. We're unfortunately not even an Oregon or a USC. But hey, we can be better than a Michigan State, better than an Iowa, better than a Wisconsin, better than what we see from Nebraska coming into this season, better than a Minnesota, better than a Rutgers, right? And now, coming into this game, there was a lot of pressure on DeShaun Foster and UCLA because it's like, okay, if UCLA loses this game, they're certainly going to lose the next three. They'll be 1-4, including 0-4 to start Big Ten play. Oh man, they might actually only win 3 or 4 games. Their only conference win of the season really might be Minnesota, led by a PJ Fleck head coach that wanted to coach UCLA. And that's if UCLA lost this game by 3.5, like Vegas said. UCLA got absolutely unbelievably annihilated in every aspect of this game. Like, name one player on UCLA's roster that was better than the guy he went up against. Ethan Garbers. Oh, man. There's been times I've been hypercritical of you last year. There's been times literally in the past 2 weeks where I was trying to defend you after the Hawaii game. But you can't even hold on to a football in the first snap of the game? DeShaun Foster, Bruin through and through, legend, one of the greatest Bruins to ever do it. But you want to kick field goals down 18 points. You want to punt the ball on 4th and 2 all the time. We kicked a field goal when it was 28-10 with less than 14 minutes to go. And it wasn't on 4th and 30. Indiana had over 100 yards in penalties. UCLA's only drives were drives because there was lucky targeting calls. That targeting call on Ethan Garbers, in my opinion, wasn't even targeting. Yes, did he hit him helmet to helmet? Sure, but Garbers is bending over. Like, the lineman can't figure out that the quarterback's bending over. He's already diving in. And yet, despite Indiana having 14 penalties for 127 yards, UCLA scores 1 touchdown. Ethan Garbers had an interception taken off the board for a penalty. This game was not even as close as a 29-point score shows you. It was 21-0 and UCLA had missed a field goal. And at that point, you're like, is it really 21-0? No, it kind of feels like a 14-3 game if UCLA didn't miss that field goal. Oh, man. 42-13. And DeShaun Foster, not only do I have a ton of questions about your in-game decision-making, punting the ball on 4th downs, kicking field goals on 4th downs, but above all else, when UCLA decided to hire DeShaun Foster, I said, it's a great culture hire, and if you hire the right offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, it's okay. It's more than okay. He'll be great at recruiting. Maybe, is he going to recruit the guy from Louisiana? No, but he'll be great at recruiting the local LA guy that Chip Kelly never recruited because he's a UCLA legend, a guy who's aware of what LA means. But other than being a good recruiter and hopefully hiring the right staff, which certainly I don't feel like that's the case as of now, the only other thing that you could say DeShaun Foster will certainly bring is energy to his players, passion from his players. This team has now played 2 games under DeShaun Foster. They have scored 0 points in the first quarter of both games. They have looked abysmal the first 3 quarters of both games against Hawaii and Indiana. What do you think is going to happen in Death Valley? What do you think is going to happen at home against Oregon? What do you think is going to happen at Penn State? This team is going to fall behind 21-0. And that might be an understatement. They've done that. They fell behind 13-0 to Hawaii. They fell behind 21-0 at home to what is supposed to be one of the bottom 3rd teams in the conference. And Indiana fans, if you're watching this, this is not me disrespecting you. I am a big fan of your coach, Curt Cignetti. And boy, talk about a great hire to come over from James Madison to bring the players over with him. You guys have not only won your first 3 games, you have looked exceptional in all 3. But timeout. I don't think you can think it's disrespectful for me to say UCLA coming into the season based on our schedule has to look at that Indiana game and say, first Big Ten game ever is at home against Indiana. Imagine if this team opened up the season against Penn State. That's what I was saying before this game happened. I said, boy, I think we might lose this game to Indiana, but at least we're not going to lose by 30 because if we opened up this season, the Big Ten era at home against Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State or Oregon or USC even, after what we did against Hawaii, you feel like you'd lose by 30. We lost by 29 against the bottom 3rd team in this conference. So Indiana fans, don't take it as a slight when I say we had to come into this season thinking this was one of the games we had to win. This team's going to be 1-4, almost guaranteed now. 0-4 in the Big Ten. This postcast is supposed to be 30 minutes. It's not going to be 30. Hopefully it's not 45. But after the break, I will talk about the game a little bit, like get into the nitty gritty. We'll talk about UCLA's defense. We'll talk about UCLA's offense. We'll talk about the plays that decided this one early on after our first break here on the Locked On UCLA Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by Robinhood Retirement. How about that? That's a fun little sponsor there. It's always fun to see what the different sponsors are. Look at me. Look at the things I have to look for in terms of enjoyment. Man, it's rough out here. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA or an IRA account, whatever you want to call it. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. Gotta love that. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Back here live on the Locked On UCLA Postcast. My name is Gavin Carlson, a former credentialed UCLA football and basketball journalist, a alum, a diehard UCLA fan, and an angry man today, because not only did I go to that game and watch it, but I'm looking ahead and thinking we are toast. UCLA gets blown out in the Big Ten opener, the first home game in the DeShaun Foster era, 42-13 against one of the quote-unquote weaker teams in the conference, 42-13. This game was 21-0 at one point. 21-0. And I already gave you my whole spiel about why we are toast, what it means for this for this program. I think it's bad news ahead. Not only do I think we're going to go 1-4, we might not win 3 games this year. We might beat Fresno State. We might beat Minnesota. We're not even beating Iowa. We're not even beating Rutgers over there across the country. All the worries coming into the season were about travel. All the worries coming into this conference were about Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State. We can't beat Indiana at home when they got to travel across the country. We can't even have a home field advantage at home when they got to travel across the country. I hate to say it, but it is really, really bad news ahead. Really, really bad news ahead, unfortunately, for UCLA. There's no other way to put it. Now, we're going to talk about this game a little bit. I have to actually talk about what happened in this game. Indiana gets the ball first and immediately marches down the field. 12 plays, 75 yards. Curtis Rourke, I have to give him credit. I was not that impressed, despite him leading a 77-3 win in their last game last week. Of course, do I think he's terrible? Of course not. But he, like many guys on this roster, there were questions. Sure, they're good against non-Power 5 teams because they're all transfers from non-Power 5 teams. 13 players, I believe, from James Madison came over with head coach Kirk Cignetti from James Madison. The quarterback, Curtis O'Rourke, is in his 6th year, but he still doesn't have a single year of Power 5 experience because he was at Ohio. Not Ohio State, Ohio. And yet he comes here and absolutely lights one up on UCLA. 25 of 33, 307, and 4 touchdowns. I mean, as perfect as you can be. And coming into the game, this was my read on Curtis Rourke. 6'5", big guy, accurate quarterback. Throws the ball, tight spiral, throws a nice touch pass, throws a nice bullet pass. But the second this guy gets off his spot, there's question marks. Not quite a statue. No one really in college football at this point is a statue at quarterback. In the NFL, maybe there's a few, but even then, not really. Name statues in the NFL. I mean, who are the slowest guys? Maybe like I'm a Rams fan. I do the Rams postcast. Matthew Stafford might be one of the slower quarterbacks in the league. He can still move around. He can certainly make the off-platform throws. Right? There's not many statues left in all of college football. Curtis Rourke is not that. But for college football standards, he's not athletic. He didn't show me in either of the first two games when I watched them back. And he didn't have to because they're going against lesser opponents. But no off-platform throws. No throws running to his left and throwing it across his body. No throws with defenders right in his face. If there was pressure, it's not easy. When he has time to throw, he's like a Kirk Cousins. He'll pick you apart if he has time to throw. Maybe not Kirk Cousins in 2024, but tonight, for the most part, he had all day to throw, and he had open receivers. But not in the first drive, actually. I was impressed by Curtis Rourke, and I'm sitting there at the front row of the 50-yard line in the new student section going, oh man, maybe Curtis Rourke didn't show us anything because he didn't have to, and they were blowing everybody out. Because he showed us something in that first drive, able to move around, able to make a couple impressive throws. You got to give him his credit. And it only got worse from there, but it only got easier for him. The first drive might have been the hardest drive of the whole game for Curtis Rourke. They had multiple third and longs. I said coming into this game, if you can force third and longs on Indiana, they have talented receivers, but I don't think they have the quarterback to buy time. And there was question marks about our pass rush coming into this game and coming into this season. We know what we lost, the Murphy twins, and a first-round talent in Liatu Latu. One of, if not the best defender in all of college football last season. But Jacob Usyk showed you something 2 weeks ago. Jay Toy is still there. Texas wanted him, was offering him on NIL money. Oladejo, probably better as a middle linebacker. Once again, not much success coming off the edge. But this D-line did not show up all game. How in the world does UCLA force a 3rd and 11? Then there's a false start. It's 3rd and 16. And they get it. They convert it. 24 yards from Rourke to Elijah Surratt, who I was very high on coming to this game and very worried about. If you need proof, go check out my UCLA YouTube channel. It's called GAV. I gave a preview of this game. I said the receivers are going to be great, but I wasn't sure about the quarterback. Boy, did he prove me wrong. Boy, did he prove everybody wrong. But that first drive was the easiest drive of the game for him. Next drive comes after Ethan Garbers has one of the most ridiculous plays I've ever seen in my life. And we as UCLA fans are unfortunately not that foreign to quarterbacks doing foolish things. I love DTR. I'm wearing a number 1 UCLA jersey, and I would joke around and say it's a DTR jersey. It obviously isn't. It's just the number 1, but I would say it's a DTR jersey because I love DTR. But we saw so many times where DTR would fumble snaps. He'd fumble handoffs. We're not even getting into all the interceptions he would throw. The questionable picks. Ethan Garbers is supposed to be a little bit more sure-handed. Not only has he been there a while, but he's not a flashy quarterback. He's supposed to be the under-control option. Last year, Dante Moore was supposed to be the flashy, high-risk, high-reward guy as a true freshman, and Ethan Garbers was supposed to be a little bit more controlled. But he comes out here, and he fumbles the first snap of the game. I don't know what the heck happened. I was at the game, so I didn't get to see any replays. I'll watch some after the fact. I don't even know if he hit a helmet. From my point of view, it looked like he pump faked. He changed his mind on like a quick screen, and then when he tried to bring the ball in, he dropped it. I don't know what happened exactly, but he fumbled the first play of the Big Ten era for UCLA. Not the first play of the game. Not the first home game of the DeShaun Foster season. The first play of the Big Ten era. All of those things. And he fumbles it without any pass rush. So then, sure, of course, it takes just 3 plays for Curtis Rourke and Indiana to make it 14-0. Now, at this point, am I critical of the defense? No. Curtis Rourke had a great drive as a quarterback, the opening drive, and then they start their second drive at the 17-yard line. UCLA comes down and misses a field goal, and you're thinking, oh man, you cut it to 14-3, everyone can calm down, we can hear the band play the fight song. By then, all the fans will actually be in the stands. It'll be okay. But Mateen Vagani proves that we have not gotten better in any phase. Offense, defense, special teams, nothing. In-game decision-making, nothing. Missed the field goal. Then Indiana comes back out. And once again, the defense, I'm not going to be mad at all. You force a 4th down mistake. And this is one thing that really annoyed me. Indiana would rather go for it on 4th and 6, up 14-0, than DeShaun Foster would down 14-0, down 28-10. down 35-10 or 13 or whatever. That infuriates me. You are supposed to be the passion guy. I would rather have you be a little bit reckless as a coach. Go for it on too many fourth downs. Be too fired up running onto the field. They changed the whole pregame festivities for this guy, DeShaun Foster, for this team. They've got him running out the tunnel. I liked it. I'm excited. I'm a UCLA fan. It feels like we have a coach who actually cares about all of it. The spectacle, not only the performance, but the recruiting, the spectacle, all of it. And right now, we're having to think of the Chip Kelly times where he didn't care about recruiting. He didn't care about the spectacle, but he would have won this game. I hate to say it. Chip Kelly would have won this game. And of course, Chip Kelly put us in a horrible position when he decides to leave and get demoted and take an offensive coordinator position when teams are already knee-deep in recruiting in the transfer portal. I get it. I did not have huge expectations for DeShaun Foster this year. But man, there's a few things I did expect from you. I expected your teams to come out with energy, with attention to detail. As a former football legend for this program, I expected even when you're down 28-10, I expected this team to fight still behind you. We saw the videos of this team getting fired up when he was hired. Where was that in the fourth quarter? Down 28-13. This team laid an egg the entire game, every quarter. Outscored 14-0 in the first quarter, 7-7 in the second, 7-3 Indiana in the third, 14-3 Indiana in the fourth. I'm speechless. Ethan Garbers finishes this game 14 of 23, 137 yards, a pick. He should have had about 2 or 3 more picks. He also had a fumble. He was abysmal. The offensive line actually was better. This team ran for 96 yards on 26 carries, and Garbers was sacked a couple times, and yet this O-line was better. That's how bad they were last week. They were better this week. The play calling was atrocious. There was nobody open. There was a couple good calls the whole game. A screen to TJ Harden for a touchdown that gets called back. That's about it. Play calling, Eric Bieniemy, the jury is out. And I get it, it's hard to coach down 14-0, but the jury is out. The offensive line, not good enough. You're going to get embarrassed by Big Ten teams. The elite Big Ten teams. Indiana's not that. And you got embarrassed. The receivers, not good enough. J.Michael, do you exist, bro? Do you exist? Are you on this team? We talked about Logan Loya not getting targets last week or last game 2 weeks ago. J.Michael, this guy, my man Will Decker loves to always say, he was a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL draft before last season. This guy is not going to get drafted at this rate because last year he kind of underperformed. Last game, 2 weeks ago, he was outperformed by Rico Flores in a similar role, a tall, speedy, deep threat. And today, did you exist? J-Mike? Hello? They're playing videos of you drinking Powerade. Catch a football. Come on. Titus was okay. I think he had a drop, a costly one. Rico Flores was okay. TJ Harden was the player of the game for UCLA. 41 in the air, 48 on the ground. But, I mean, that's not saying much. This team was abysmal. Abysmal. I'm going to take my last break here. When I come back, I'll talk about the defense. I don't really need to look forward. I already did. We're toast. We're going to lose the next 3. I hate being this negative. I promise you, I'm not one of those guys that's a negative fan. I would defend Chip Kelly at times. And yet I'm here saying we're going to lose the next 3 games. That's how you know we are toast. I'm going to take my last break here. I'll talk about the defense a little bit more, and we'll wrap this one up. I know I'm already well above time here on the Locked On UCLA Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. 1 second. Excuse me. I'm all over the place because of how bad this game went. Today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And today's show is finally brought to you once again by FanDuel. You've heard me talk a lot about FanDuel, maybe not on the UCLA Postcast, but the Angels Postcast, the Rams Postcast, or the UCLA Postcast with Locked On. I've talked a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, but I have something a little bit different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook to take advantage of this great offer. Back here live one more time on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel with a raspy voice from yelling at that abysmal UCLA showing. Our beloved UCLA Bruins fall 42-13 in the Big Ten DeShaun Foster home openers against one of the weaker opponents in the conference. We're toast. I already said it enough. I won't talk about it, about how I feel about big picture stuff. I'll talk about the defense a little bit more. Cam Medrano was solid today. 9 tackles, 8 solo tackles, 3 TFLs. Other than TJ Harden, Kane Medrano, probably the best player of the game. He's my favorite player on the defense coming into this season. He has the speed of a sub linebacker, but the grit, the physicality of a bigger linebacker. I love Kane Medrano. He's earned this role on this team. Coming into last season, there was questions about if he would play a lot with Darius Musow and Oluwemfe Oladejo and a couple other linebackers, but he was arguably the best linebacker last season. He's probably the best player on this defense this season. He was good. Femi Oladejo was good as well. 7 tackles, 3 solo. They use him off the edge sometimes. He's not a pass rusher. I think he's more of the big physical middle linebacker. He certainly has the body to be an elite pass rusher. I just hope that if you're going to play him there, have you trained him to play there? Because he certainly has the physical attributes, and I know he has the mentals too. I've met him on campus many times. He's a great guy, and he's a leader of this defense. But other than those two, I wasn't really impressed with anybody. The secondary, not really anybody's fault. I mean, Devin Kirkwood did not impress a couple times in coverage. Jalen Davies had a costly PI. Devin Kirkwood got beat on a back shoulder play. But the play calling, I did not like. Way too much cushion. There was drives where Curtis Rourke, who once again, if you give him time and open guys, he's going to pick you apart. So why not blitz and press? Especially down 14-0. Why aren't you blitzing and pressing? Why are you giving 10 yards of coverage, of cushion, down multiple scores? I tweeted it. I thought it then. I think it now. Why are you giving 10 to 15 yards of cushion down 2 scores against a team where you probably should press them so that your D-line can get there, so that the quarterback has to move around, which he's not good at? It made no sense to me. Made no sense to me. We'll look at other guys on this team. Defensively, whatever. Honestly, no one really that impressive. There was a nice 4th down stop. Brian Addison was nice. He had a nice TFL. I'm still impressed with him. Jay Toya, okay game, I guess. I don't see him on the box score, which I think means he didn't have a tackle. That's a bit concerning. I thought he actually got held a couple times. It's one of the only homer things I'll say maybe in this postcast. I would like to see him impact the game a little bit more. But at the end of the day, Indiana looked smarter than UCLA in terms of play calling, but they also looked quicker than us. Their receivers, who I was very worried about coming into this game, the best part of their team, their receiving core. Their best receiver didn't even play. He was questionable. I heard he was going to play. He didn't play. Donovan, I'm blanking on the last name. He didn't even play. but we got destroyed by Miles Cross, 6 for 90 and a touchdown. Omar Cooper Jr., who I was worried about coming in, 4 for 58 and a touchdown. And Elijah Surratt, I was very worried about as well, 4 for 54 and a touchdown. Curtis Rourke throws for 307 yards. Not Dylan Gabriel, not Drew Aller. Curtis Rourke. Imagine what those guys are going to do. I am terrified. I am terrified. I am frustrated. I am sad. I'm every emotion possible. Look at my room. I've got the degree right there. That's a UCLA degree. I know it's dark. I've got the UCLA sash right there. I've got 2 UCLA helmets right here, both of which are game-worn helmets. I got the hookup from a friend. Look. Apologies for the noise. I've got the towels they gave out at the game. I've got the shirt they gave to the student section. I've got it all. I don't want any of it right now. I was debating opening the show being extra dramatic by taking off my jersey and revealing a random shirt at the beginning of this show. Because it feels that disgraceful, embarrassing, everything. Indiana really gets to walk around and say that they're a better football program historically than UCLA. They don't have Troy Aikmans. They don't have Maurice Jones-Drews, J.J. Stokes, who was there today, Liatu Latus, Anthony Barrs, Eric Kendrickses. They don't have those guys in their history. I honestly don't know how good in terms of individual players they are, but they are not the cream of the crop of the Big Ten. We would hear all the time that we're a basketball school while having teams regularly in the top 20 of the AP poll for football. Indiana's a basketball school. And they just absolutely wiped the floor with us tonight at the Rose Bowl. Where do we go from here? We're going to lose the next 3 games. I hate to say it. If we win one of the next 3, I'll be stunned. I'll be very happy. If we did win one of those 3, I would want it to be against Oregon so we can maybe have some West Coast recruiting. But I think of all the 3, if all 3 games are at neutral sites, I'd say LSU probably our best chance at a win. They're probably the weakest of the 3. Seeing what USC did to them and the troubles they had today with South Carolina. I don't even know for sure if they won that game or not, but I know that it was close. I know that if they apparently got a call. Apparently they escaped, 36-33. Well, they're not going to have to escape against us, unfortunately. I hate to say it. I hope that all this negativity does not make it sound like I'm happy that we're thinking. I just showed you all the gear I have. I showed you the helmet. I showed you the jersey. I'm as diehard as it gets, but I'm also a former journalist for this team. I've been objective. I've been writing articles. I've been to football practices, not rooting for this team. And from every perspective, the unbiased journalist, the lifelong fan, the current alum, every perspective, this is an utter embarrassment for UCLA. There's no other way to put it. And with that, I'll wrap this one up. Keep your heads up, everybody. Don't look forward to basketball season yet. I used to hate that. That was my biggest pet peeve when UCLA football would lose one game and everyone in the Rose Bowl would be walking out going, is it basketball season yet? Let's not do that. Let's still get behind our head coach. Let's still get behind this team. But don't have expectations that it's going to go well the next 3 weeks. I hate to say it. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up. I know this has been a negative fest, but what are you supposed to say when you lose by 29? I'm Gavin Carlson, once again, former Daily Bruin, credentialed UCLA journalist, lifelong Bruin fan, alum. My first game as an alum did not go to plan, but I appreciate all of you for being here so much. Leave a like. Please let me know in the comment section how you felt about this show. Let me know how you felt about the game, absolutely, but also how you felt about this show. Was I too negative? Was I right on point? Tell me. I want to know so that I can make this show better for you guys every single week. And hopefully in the future, it's after some wins. But all right, I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm Gavin Carlson. 4's up. Not really going to, I'll do an 8 clap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA. Fight. Keep your heads up, everybody. Hopefully we can steal one of the next 3. All right, I'm taking off. Have a great one. Thanks so much for watching.